It's time to eat.
Eat.
Eat, as in E for Elizabeth, A for Ashley,
T for Tina.
and here we are again, back with another exciting episode with EAT.
Speaking of exciting, has you guys weekend been exciting?
Sort of not, since it's the midterm week. We're busy doing reports and studying for exams.
Yeah, I've been burning the midnight oil studying. This week? Is it our midterms? I thought it was 2 weeks from now. I did nothing aside from watching K-dramas and watching my OBAs. Are you sure you guys are studying?
You bet! You should pay more attention to class. Speaking of reports, I've been learning about SDGs for my report.
Oh, same. My head hurts just by hearing SDGs.
To the current generation and the future generation, we should be aware of SDGs as it affects our lives in the long run.
And for our listeners who aren't familiar with SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. The 17 SDGs are integrated. They recognize that action in one area will affect outcomes in others and that development must balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability.
There are 17 SDGs. There is no poverty, zero hunger, good wealth and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on island, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and last but not least, partnerships for the goals.
Countries have committed to prioritizing progress for those who are the furthest behind. The SDGs are designed to end poverty, hunger, AIDS, and discrimination against women and girls. Now that you mentioned discrimination against women and girls, have you heard the news?
What news?
Tell me about it. I saw it in TikTok and it was intriguing. Then I searched it up. News about what's happening to Iran. Mass poisoning of schoolgirls in Iran March 16, 2023. Between November 2022 and March 2023, up to 7,000 schoolgirls were poisoned at dozens of schools in at least 28 of Iran's 31 provinces, according to human rights groups and government officials. In the first 3 months of the attacks, no solid information was uncovered about the type of poison gas that may have been used. Complaints have included nausea, vomiting, cough, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, and feeling lethargic. Some also reported that they smell a tangerine-like smell.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Why are they doing that to those girls and who?
Gosh, I've heard about that news. There is mounting evidence of government involvement in these horrific attacks. According to the article, perhaps the most significant indication is the regime's inaction over the past 3 months. However, an armed force spokesperson claimed 5 people had been arrested and accused them of working for foreign agents and carrying out attacks to create insecurity and chaos. In March, Iranian officials reported that irritant substances were used in alleged attacks on students, but they only affected less than 10% of students and were not deadly. Most cases were caused by anxiety or learning about poisoning from the media. The Iranian government reported that suspects had been arrested in relation to alleged poisoning, and on March 10th, agents responsible for the poisoning were identified and arrested in several cities. Some confessions were aired on Iranian TV, but the BBC noted that this confession may have been obtained by torture and were later determined to be false.
Well, a lot is happening in Iran. Protesters took part in an anti-Iran demonstration on December 10, 2022. They were protesting the death of a girl named Amini, who was beaten to death just because she was wearing her hijab incorrectly. She fell into a coma and died. Protesters were shouting, "Death to the dictator," and women were removing their headscarves. The University of Iran was shouting what is now the protest slogan, "Women, Life, Freedom," in short, calling for the end of the region.
But does this contradict the SDG's goal for quality education and Goal 5, gender equality? And as far as I know, Iran is an active member of United Nations. To be specific, Goal 5, gender equality, is aimed to end all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere.
We're not sure, but we know that women are suffering from inequality and injustice in Iran. They couldn't even have a proper education. And it reminds me of a story of a girl named Malala Yousafzai. Malala Yousafzai is a Pakistan female education activist and the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize laureate, awarded when she was 17. She is the world's youngest Nobel Prize laureate. While on a bus after taking an exam, Yousafzai and two other girls were shot by a Taliban gunman in an assassination attempt to target her for her activism, fleeing the scene. She was hit in the head with a bullet and remained unconscious and in critical condition. Fortunately, she lived and became successful and proved to those who hurt her that women are not less different than men.
If you think about it, the situation in Iran is somewhat similar to Afghanistan, where women are oppressed and don't have much freedom. We were fortunate to be born in a place where gender equality exists and has a proper quality education for both genders.
I'm glad I was born in Taiwan, where it has education for both girls and boys and promotes gender equality. I won't complain about studying anymore.
You should be. But what can we do to help them?
We can do anything about it. Let's just pray for their well-being and hope that they will overcome the adversities they are facing. Then their sacrifices will not be in vain.
As a woman, we stand with women who are constantly fighting for their rights and freedom.
We stand with women, men, old and young who suffer from oppression, injustice, and inequality.
I want to talk more about this issue in other countries, but since our time is limited, we could only talk about these two countries.
And here we are,
EAT,
reminding our listeners, eat the best, live the rest. Bye bye.
Bush. See you next week.